1. This story takes place where all good things happen. Walmart. It was a couple years ago, 2014 I think, though I was just beginning my junior year of high school. Now I'm not the shortest person, a whopping 5'4", and what doctors like to say is overweight. I was wearing jeans and a blue shirt with my middle school name and logo on it. If you've ever seen the "Parents, Please Excuse My Potty Mouth" vine, it's that shirt. I was in the toy aisle, squatting to look at the dolls on the bottom shelf, minding my own business. I hear someone clear their throat next to me. I think nothing of it and continue to dig through the boxes. You see, I'm a doll collector, and I was looking for a specific Draculaura doll I didn't have. When I go hunting for something, I kind of get into the zone and block everything out. The person clears their throat again, and I think I'm in their way, so I move to the side with a mutter of sorry, but keep looking at the dolls. The person clears their throat one more time with an attitude that made me look at them and ask, "Yes?" There stood the ungodly Karen. She had the nastiest look on her face, like she smelled a bad fart. Think if a pug ate a lemon. If she puckered her lips more, one could compare her to a certain ex-president. It was that bad. She just sneered and, "About time," and continued to look at me like I personally presented her with a package of dog shit lit on fire. I obviously didn't know what she wanted, so I just kept silently looking at her, confused. She must have got fed up with the silence, because she rudely asked, "Where are the Lego sets?" I frequent this location all the time, so I knew where everything was at. They're just 3 aisles over. I tell her, then go back to looking through the dolls. That's when I felt a sharp pain in my skin yanking me up. She apparently sunk her talons into my shoulder. I just stood there, shocked and confused. Karen was seething, and I swear if you looked close enough, you could see steam coming out of her ears. I'm still in shock from her touching me when she starts screaming about how I need to stop stocking the shelves and show her to the Legos. I live in the South and had manners drilled into me since I could start speaking, so I try to politely pry her hand off. "Ma'am, I don't work here." Wrong thing to say. Karen gets more mad. She starts to reach for me again, but having grown up with an older sister that likes to play fight with the rule of, if it's not attached to the ground, it's getting thrown, I easily dodge. Karen is frothing at the mouth at this point. "I want to speak to your manager," she yells. The catchphrase of the Karens. Nothing like the sound of self-appointed privilege to activate your fight-or-flight reflex. "Ma'am, I do not work here." I emphasize each word as if I'm speaking to a child. She tries to grab me again with a yell. I escape. "Jesus, lady, stop trying to grab me. I don't work here." My patience is thinning. I just want to look for this doll and go get some froyo. She had different plans. "Quit lying. I know you work here. You're wearing the uniform." At this point it clicks. She thinks my middle school shirt is the work shirt all employees wear. This was when they all wore uniforms before they changed them to just the vests. I start laughing because I'm just tired and really want my frozen yogurt. "Oh my god!" Karen is starting to get unhinged. "Listen, lady, look at my shirt!" I point to the orange Jaguar on the front that says the middle school's name. She reads out the name like I don't already know what it says. When the light bulb finally turns on in her head, Karen just gets this look of horror. Her eyes got so wide I thought they would pop out. She's a stuttering mess. Karen somehow gets out an apology and scurries away with her tail between her legs. I shake off what just happened, laughing to myself, and go back to looking at the Draculaura. I never did find the doll I was looking for, but the froyo was amazing and cheered me up. 2. Honestly, I had too many bad experiences that people mistakenly thought I was one of the store employees, and now I'm kinda scared of going to the mall now. I need some advice or help so I won't get bugged again. Since everyone likes stories, I'm going to share some typical experiences I had every time I went to the mall, and you guys can be the judge. 1. Retail. Location: Saks. Outfit: dress pants, cashmere coat, high neck top, flats, a tote. I was shopping for some new clothes after work. I prefer to browse around and pick a bunch of items to try all at once, instead of going back and forth to the fitting room. I greeted the sales lady and told her I would like to just browse around alone for now, and if I decided to buy anything, I would let her know so she wouldn't miss her commission. She left me alone politely, so I picked about 7 to 9 pieces and was about to go to the fitting room. A lady, possibly in her 40s, came up to me and started checking the clothes I picked. She then, literally without an "excuse me" or anything, took 2 blazers from my hand. She then asked for a fitting room so she could try them on, while I was still in shock. Because I was in shock, she thought I didn't understand English, so she repeated again in a louder, slower tone, with a hint of a condescending attitude. At that point, I became annoyed and felt extremely uncomfortable, so I asked her if she could give me the blazers back and look for things herself. She got mad and told me that I was a lazy employee and wanted to file a complaint with the manager. She left, but she told me she was going to find a supervisor to file a complaint against me. I rolled my eyes and then went to try on the clothes. I decided to keep one of the blazers, but I needed a size bigger, so I had to come out of the fitting room to try on that one blazer. As I was putting the blazer on, the lady showed up with a guy who appeared to be the supervisor or manager. The lady pointed a finger at me and said, "She's trying on clothes during the working hours. Doesn't wear a uniform. She even told me to leave her alone." The supervisor looked at me and told the lady, "I'm sorry, but she is a customer just like you." I don't know if she felt embarrassed or was in denial of the truth. She just walked away without even apologizing to me. The staff supervisor apologized to me and offered me a courtesy gift. I was eventually feeling okay, but seriously, I don't get people. 2. Small business and boutique stores. Location: one of the local bookstores and gift shops. My outfit: sandals, cut-off shorts, crop top, crossbody bag. The plan I had for that day was to outline some parts of my project and then look for something new to read. While I was reading the introduction of a book, a kid approached me and asked if I knew where the blah 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 is. I politely told him I had no idea what that was and hoped he could eventually find the item. Somehow the kid told his dad that the sales lady didn't want to tell him where the item was. The dad, of course, came up to me and rudely asked what was my problem. "If you don't want to offer customer service, you should consider changing your career plan." He said that to me and demanded me to apologize to his son. I told him my career plan was fine because I didn't work here. He raised his voice and said I was lying, demanding to talk to the owner of the store. The owner came to us from the cashier registration after he overheard that the guy wanted to talk to the owner. That guy shared his view of me with the store owner passionately. The owner listened and figured out the drama. He told the guy that I was a customer, not an employee. The guy didn't even apologize to me after the fact was told to him. Instead, he asked the owner and me to apologize to his son because his son deserves an apology. The owner was just shocked by this guy, so he suggested that the guy should try other stores that may want his business. That guy finally left, and the store owner offered me a coupon for the drama I went through in his store. Isn't carrying a purse a clear indication that the person doesn't work there? In the end, those are my typical experiences when I go to the mall or stores. The retail ones are usually really bad for me, as I get mistaken as an employee almost every single time. 3. A bit of background. I was recently outside in the cold too long and had hypothermia with other issues, and still have very large 3rd-degree frost burns on both my feet. I have a hard time walking around and it's quite painful, so I was using a scooter that the store provides for customers. Another important thing to note is that even though I live in a cold weather state, I rarely wear a coat, so I didn't have a coat on or in my cart. I'm driving the scooter through the store while my girlfriend is walking next to or behind me, depending on how many people are around us. We're just shopping, looking at things, pointing out things to each other, as people normally do. We are about 1/3 of the way back into the store from the entrance. The doors are slightly visible, but we're not right inside the entrance. A woman walks into the aisle we are currently looking for something in and approaches me. I quickly try to move over to the side, thinking she's going to ask me to move, but instead she looks at me and says, "I need that scooter." I'm a little bit flustered since I wasn't expecting that at all, and I'm not sure what to say, and I say, "Excuse me?" Well, I try to figure out what's going on. She responds that the scooters are for customers who need them and not for you to play around on. Now I'm getting irritated because who is she to say whether or not I'm entitled to use a scooter? My girlfriend steps forward and says, "Ma'am, she needs this scooter. If they didn't have any more at the entrance, you can ask the greeter to check the other entrance." Which of course sets off this Karen. Karen goes into full-blown the customer is never wrong mode. She starts demanding that I get off the scooter immediately, as she wants it right now, and I'm not supposed to be using it. Somewhere in her rant she says that employees aren't allowed to play on the scooters. And then it clicks. She thinks I work there, despite the fact that I'm not wearing anything blue and I'm obviously shopping. I try to tell her that I don't work there, but she's too far into her rage to comprehend anything. She now has her hands on the front of the scooter and is demanding to see my employee ID. I back up the scooter to try to get a bit away from her and tell her again that I don't work there. My girlfriend has gone to find an actual employee. Karen notices that my girlfriend has gone and demands to know where she went, obviously thinking she's an employee too. I tell her again that she needs to stop, I don't work there, and I'm not giving her the scooter. I've had about enough of her, and I'm now contemplating running her over with it. My girlfriend finally returns with the store employee. The employee asks what the problem is, and Karen starts with, "This girl," when I completely interrupt her to say loudly that I was trying to shop when this woman started harassing me and demanding the scooter I was using. Karen's mouth starts flapping in the breeze as she can't believe how incredibly rude I'm being. She turns to the employee and asks why am I allowed to use the scooter. The employee tells her that scooters are for all customers, and as long as I'm not causing issues, they have no reason to ask me not to. Karen only hears the part that she wants to and says, "She is causing a problem." The employee asks what the problem is, and Karen replies with, "She won't give me the scooter." I look at the employee and ask, "Do you know me?" They look confused and say no. I ask, "Do I work here?" They're now figuring out where this is going and say no. I say, "So I'm just a customer here shopping." They confirm this. Karen stares in disbelief and then accuses the employee of covering for me so I don't get in trouble. She now wants to see the ID badge and wants a manager, claiming she's going to get us both fired. I shout at Karen a little louder than I should have, but I'd had enough of her, that I'm not an employee, and that she shouldn't be harassing the actual employees either. I might have called her crazy. During this, my girlfriend went to customer service for more backup, because we weren't going to leave this poor employee to deal with the Karen by himself. She comes back with a floor manager or something similar, right as I'm done telling Karen to stop harassing employees. The manager has already been filled in on the entire situation, and apologizes to me and says she will take care of the situation. Do I need anything else? I politely tell her no, and thank her for dealing with the situation. As we leave the aisle, we can hear Karen screaming that I need to be fired, while the manager tries to explain that she can't harass customers. I don't think she ever got it that I didn't work there. 4. I am a mechanic in a chain-type shop. I work on my own cars and on other people's cars on the side. I go to the same auto parts store very often. I live about an hour away from the shop I work in and about 20 minutes from the auto parts store I like to shop in. I go to work, have a long day of stress, then head towards home but stop at the parts store to get brake pads and rotors for my personal car. I walk in wearing my mechanic shirt from work, which is a dark blue while the store uniform is a bright green. I used to work in the auto parts store company, not this store, but the workers here know me and don't mind me using the computers to find my parts in the system. It makes it easier for them to get my stuff for me, by not having to spend the 20 minutes going through the process of asking questions and looking up the parts. I walk in and straight to the computer that is unused at the moment. I pull up all the brake parts I need and then walk down the aisle to get a can of brake grease and a few tools, walk back to the counter, and wait for an employee to come over to help. They know I don't mind waiting and letting them handle the rest of the customers in line. As I'm standing there waiting, I pull up a second window of the system and start looking up wheel bearings for my car for the next big repair task. A lady comes in and sees me without a customer in front of me, and walks right up to me and starts listing off things she wanted. I said, "Miss, I don't work here, I'm just a customer." She claims, "You're behind the counter, you must work here." I go back to the computer screen and continue to look for my parts. She gets mad at me and says, "I want to speak to your manager." Well, I don't work here, and my manager doesn't either. The store manager of the auto parts store walks up, and this lady says, "So your manager doesn't work here, but he is standing right here." The store manager says, "Miss, if you step over here to the next computer, I will gladly help you." "You can start by firing him." The store manager turns to me and says, "You are fired." I say, "Oh, okay, well, that sucks. Guess I'll need to find a new job." The lady is smiling as she says, "Serve you right, brat." The store manager now says, "Miss, can you read English?" "Of course I can." They stand shoulder to shoulder with me and point to the company names on his shirt. I pick up on this and point to my company name on my shirt. I then say, "Are you colorblind by any chance?" "No, what does that have to do with anything?" I point back and forth from the store manager's shirt color to mine. The lady finally looks down at the shirts and sees that she missed the fact that my shirt is a total different color and is from a completely different company. She starts babbling like a fish out of water. I turn to the store manager and say, "You can handle this one. I'm going to go back to finding my parts." He leads her to the next counter and starts helping the embarrassed lady with the list of parts. After he found all the items, he tells her the price and she starts claiming she can get them at the competitor store across the street for half that price. At this point, I have taken a picture of the screen for the wheel bearing parts I was looking for and closed that window. And I'm just waiting for an open employee to get the parts and cash me out. I hear her saying this and ask, "So why are you in here making such a fuss?" Loud enough for her to hear clearly. "Shut up! You stay out of this!" The manager says, "If you can get a quote from them for less, I will match it." "Why do I need a quote from them?" "Without a written quote for equal parts, I can't price match." She storms out to go across the street, leaving her car in the parking lot. I get my parts and cash out. I go outside and put my parts in my car. I go back to the store's door and start chatting with the store manager while he smokes and I vape. I notice a customer inside buying a battery, and the employee that was helping them is not allowed to work on cars because they're too young. The stupid company will hire a person that they can't train to work in hazardous environments legally. But whatever. The employee asked another employee to install the battery and was told it would be a minute because of the amount of customers in line. I step aside as the customer says, "That's fine, I'll wait." I say from the door, "Excuse me, I'm a mechanic and I'll gladly install the battery for you for free so you don't have to wait." The customer happily agrees and carries the battery out the door. I pull my tools out of my car and start swapping the battery out. Within the 5 minutes it took me to do, the lady comes back across the street with a receipt in hand. The store manager sighs and goes inside, waiting for her to come in. Lady walks up to me, waving the paper in my face, laughing. I tell her to step back and stay out of my face. She drops the laughter and smile when she sees the grip on the ratchet wrench I have that I'm pointing to her with. She goes inside, and after I'd say maybe 3 minutes, she comes storming out of the store and gets in her car, slamming the door, and peels off across the street. The store manager comes out and says to me as I'm putting my tools back in my tool bag, "She's a moron. The price she got was for the basic line parts when she was asking us for the premium line." I tell the battery customer that he is good to go, and I laughed at what the store manager was saying. The battery customer hands me $20 and thanks me, saying, "What a bitch," to which I laughed even more. I ended up doing my breaks right there in the parking lot and chatting with the store manager most of the time it took. And he said, "Hopefully she is a lost customer for life," as I was leaving. It was both a good and bad day, but at least it ended with entertainment. 5. It's been a while since I've been mistaken for working at another market. For a while, it seemed like every other month I'd been in a store, shopping comfortably, and someone would come out of the woodwork and demand help, recognizing me from Failmart. But with the COVID-19 crisis and the institution of masks, I've been happily incognito whenever I've gone in search of better prices and selection from the Cult of Sam. At Failmart, I've moved to another position from the pharmacy, and now work the door, handing out masks and wiping down carts. It's a terrible job, but I'm making more money doing this than any other job, so figure that one out. I've also changed my look. I am no longer a rock and roll yeti with long hair and band t-shirts, but dress more like a respectable member of society. I have discovered I am quite the clothes horse. A fancy wool overcoat, a green vintage army jacket, a leather biker jacket, whatever I feel like tossing on that day. Hats, different shoes, various different pants. The point I'm making is I do not look like my Failmart or alter ego when I'm out and about. I wear a black ball cap, a black faux military coat with a name tag. I wear this day in and day out, but never in my civilian life. With the addition of the mask, it's difficult for customers to recognize me. However, big snowstorm heading into my area, forecasting a foot of snow and sub-zero temperatures. I decide to forego shopping at my home store and head off to another superstore in my area in search of propane, ice melt, batteries, the usual prepper stuff I try to lay in when it's possible I'm going to be snowed in for a few days. Got my cart. Listening to the in-store music playing the same tired 70s and 80s inoffensive fluff they always do. And it happens. I pause to grab a bottle of hot sauce, and the much-feared call of the entitled customer.
Hey, you!
Nope, not me. Can't be calling for me. I'm in a wool coat and a stylish Stetson. I am not working. Oh crap, she actually whistled at me. I turn with dread, and yep, there she is. One of my Failmart customers, and one of the more infamous ones to boot. Let me describe this woman. She's basically spherical, a screwed-up angry face, beady eyes, and has a habit of wearing stained sweats no matter what the weather. She comes into Failmart and demands an electric cart, and will get extremely huffy if none are available. I have run my ass ragged trying to meet her demands, and never get a thank you. Her daughter once stole someone's cart for her from the bathroom area, and that's a story for another time. So she's straining the store's electric cart, leaning over the handlebars and glaring at me. For once, her devil spawn are not with her.
Took you damn long enough. Get me a 40-pound bag of rock salt now. I want to get home before the snow.
Now, since I have a lot of time to think at Failmart, I sometimes amuse myself by making up little songs. Anything to make myself giggle and keep my mind off my soul-sucking job. I glare at the woman, take a deep breath, and off to the races we go. To the tune of the Oogie Boogie song from Nightmare Before Christmas. You're joking, I can't believe my ears. You're joking. You think that I work here? Look at me, dear lady, tell me what you see. I've got no damn name tag, so please just let me be. I start doing a soft shoe dance in my boots, slowly turning about, arms akimbo, showing off my non-Failmart attire. She's now staring at me like I've suddenly grown an extra head, and is making googly faces at her. I don't know why you're thinking that I can help all I can, but for now, between you and me, I'm not the Failmart man. I grab my cart, spin it around like it's Ginger Rogers, and skip off down the aisle, singing, You're joking. I glanced to look over my shoulder right before I took the turn, and she was still sitting there, mouth agape. I couldn't stop grinning the rest of my trip. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 119. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I'd also like to give a shout out to Reddit user LNMOP. Yes, LNMOP. The author of story number 3. That was a story about the... it was about the lady who had the nasty woman trying to steal her cart, because I guess she didn't look disabled enough to her. Invisible illnesses, folks, invisible disabilities, it's a thing. I suggest you look up the work of Jessica Kelgren Fozard, who is she's a YouTuber who is disabled, so a lot of her content revolves around that. And she is someone who has to deal with the whole invisible disability thing, where she might look like she doesn't have any kind of disability, but she does. And sometimes she, for example, does need to use a car when she's out and about and has to deal with nasty or sometimes stupid people. Not everyone who says bad things is necessarily a bad person. Sometimes maybe a little ignorant. React with, well, you don't look disabled. You don't look gay. Well, guess what? She's both. I might have a little bit of a crush on both her and her wife, but don't tell them, because that'd be weird. Also, they've never heard of me. Okay, and with that, we don't want to turn into Thirsty Freezer, certainly not. I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.